This is the Amy Edwards Show, and I'm your host, Amy. This show is here to help all of us live our best life and feel amazing at absolutely every age. We focus on transformation and empowerment through practical tools, strategies, habits, and mindset shifts that will help you unlock your potential, build self-love, and embrace your unique journey. We'll cover everything from health and wellness to personal growth and spirituality with inspiring guests and real conversations. So if you are ready to level up, break out of your comfort zone, and make lasting changes, you're in the right place. It's never too late. In fact, some of your best days haven't even happened yet. Let's get to it. Love this moment and make the next one even shinier. Oh, hello. Welcome to the Amy Edwards Show. You hear that? That's the torch. It's lighting my Palo Santo. It's slowing me down. It's getting me in an intention space. It's getting me present. Oh, and it feels good. It smells so good. It's so cold here in Austin, Texas right now. It is like ridiculous. I don't know what's going on. It's like 20 degrees or something insane. So greetings to you. How are you? This is the next step in the journey on our Max Life series. That's right. I ditched the mid. I don't like it. And you know what? We can write our story however we want. We can title it whatever we want. We can be whatever we want. Why? Because we said so. And we're in power mode and we're taking back our power. Hell yeah. Which is pretty much what we're talking about today. Transformation and stepping into your power. So last week on this series, we talked about awakening, right? Which is recognizing outdated beliefs and breaking free. Just waking up to these stories that we're subscribed to that we don't want to subscribe to any longer. I have done it time and again. Yes, it's a practice. Yes, even if you've done it, you can do it again. As I was planning this episode, I realized that there's like these microcycles, which we'll talk about later. But there's microcycles within all this where we do all three of these, the awakening, the transformation, and the actualization just over and over in many ways, M-I-N-I, miniature ways, and many, M-A-N-Y, many ways as well. Right? So this awakening, we'll talk more about that later, but this awakening is just this recognizing of outdated beliefs. It's breaking free. It's the moment that you realize you've been living under old societal expectations that no longer serve you. Someone else decided this and you went along with it. I went along with it. Oh yeah. When I say you, I mean me, because I've done it too many times to count, and I still catch myself, right? I still have those awakenings all the time, those sparks of awareness that allow us to step back and say, hold up, this isn't my story, and you know what? I get to change it. It's that power. Oh, I love it so much. I mean, as you know, I have just been really charged up about this whole series and I'm really excited. I'm still kind of playing with what I'm developing to go with it. I thought it was going to be a book, but I feel like some sort of journal is in order. So that's what I'm working on with it. And sometimes I was planning, just a little sidebar here, I was planning to do it all and have it ready and all perfectly packaged and all that. But sometimes it's about doing it and you learn as you go and you find out what's important. Because I would have still been using the term mid if I hadn't really taken the plunge and worked through this with the podcasts and really written it out, because it took me talking about it and saying that to realize, like, I don't even like this title that it's been given. I reject that story. So I want to call it Max. And so that was like, it was a huge awakening in itself. It was this aha. And so sometimes it's letting go of perfection and jumping in and doing it. And then you learn as you go. There's no right or wrong way. There's just the way that you do it. I learned that in singing and getting up on stage, and people would say, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. And you're like, no, you didn't make a mistake. That's just the way you sang at that time. And I loved that so much because it frees you up to be like, oh, that's just the way I did it that time. No mistakes. It's just what happened. And then I can learn from it. Do I want to do it again? Maybe it was like a Bob Ross happy accident, right? A happy mistake, a happy, not even mistake, right? A happy occurrence. All right. So We have that power to change. Last week, we talked about having these red pill moments when we see our conditioning for what it is and we get to choose a new path forward. And whether it's recognizing self-limiting beliefs and around, aging, career, relationships, or our own self-worth, we have this awakening that is the first step in reclaiming our personal power. I love that so much. I shared my own awakening story as well about stepping away from a life path that was expected of me and choosing instead to forge my own way. And a lot was packed into that, right? Marriage, divorce, religion, parental expectations, being a good girl, people pleasing, all that kind of stuff. And for me, I realized I was living under all these other expectations in all these different ways, and it affected how I viewed myself as well. And I had many moments of clarity that led to deep shifts and ultimately changed the trajectory of my life and transformed me, right, into something different, something new. And I think that's a beautiful thing, right? That's the butterfly. So now that we've identified the outdated beliefs, we're going to focus today on what comes next, and that's the transformation that we're talking about. Awakening is that realization, and then transformation is where we step into what it takes to actually change. So what is transformation? Transformation is that phase where awareness turns to change, like I just said. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. It's usually painful. If it's not painful, ask yourself, am I transforming enough? At least for me. I mean, yes, it's a wonderful thing, but man, sometimes it can be really tough, especially when the people around us are creating some resistance and we doubt ourselves and we wonder, should I just stay the same? Is this easier to just stay the same? But it's that cocoon stage. And there's probably a myth that transformation is instant, but it's actually a series of small, consistent changes. For me, it is a practice. And also think about, since I'm talking about the cocoon, there is a point where the caterpillar in the cocoon turns to like a liquid goo, which is just wild. That nature can even do that. It shows us that anything is possible. Yes, you have a cellular memory, but you have so much potential. I mean, from a caterpillar to goo to a butterfly, just mind. That honestly, that blows my mind. Okay. So what sparks this transformation? Well, it's those life shifts. It's those awakenings. It's those realizations or breaking points. I have, like I said, done this more times than I can count. I would say first big one was getting divorced, which I talked about some last week. It was even just that realization that I would be a divorced person. That for me, I remember the exact moment I said it, and it was a shift. And there's a lot to be said, I talk about this a lot, for saying things out loud. So saying it out loud can transform you. It's as simple as that a lot of times. And I remember saying it out loud to my friend Knack. I'm going to have to get a divorce. I can remember where we were in the car, everything. And that suddenly made it not only real, but it transformed me. And it gave me this change, realization, shift. And it really makes such a difference. So where can you say something out loud that can give you more of this transformation, right? When you have that awakening, like, oh, I'm no longer this person, but who are you? What is it? What has to take place? Can you say that out loud? Please excuse my sniffles too. I have something weird going on, with this weather. I don't know if it's allergies or what. So I apologize. So it happened too in my songwriting and getting more authentic with that. I was scared. I was scared to find my own voice in songwriting when I started doing that at like age 39 or 40. I was really fearful because the band that I'd been in wanted us to fit a mold and wasn't about your authentic voice. It was, but it wasn't. And I was just told, hey, you got to hold back in these places. And so I was fearful that it wouldn't be accepted, who cares, right? It's music, it's art, who cares? But I leaned on my second husband. He has a very poetic bent, the way that he writes and things like that. And so I really thought, I'll get him to help me and then it'll sound right. And so I co-wrote songs with him, and when I listened back, I knew it wasn't really my voice. I knew it wasn't my truth. And I had to learn to say out loud what I really needed to say. And it kind of hurt him when I said, I got to write a whole new album and I got to do it without you. He was sad. He was like, it was like an offense. And I said, no, I have to do this myself and I have to find my own voice and I have to say it out loud. And so I had to say that to him, and then I had to actually do it. And I had a nervous breakdown. That's not even a hyperbole. I literally did. I remember crying, trying to get out of it, even though I'd booked the studio time already. It was costing money and I wasn't signed with a label. I was just doing it and figuring it out, how to pay for it. And I really just had to strive and push and get very uncomfortable to find my own voice and transform into the songwriter that I wanted to be, into the musician that I wanted to be, into the artist that I wanted to be, into the voice I wanted to be. And it was really hard, really hard. But my new goal became creating something that I can listen back to and know that I was as authentic as possible and really true and really, really doing it. And that's what I did. I do look back at that album in particular, my Forward album. It's not on Spotify right now. Sorry. It's on my website. I'll put a link in the show notes. And I really ended up proud of that for who I was at the time. Do I look back and wish there were some things that were different on it? Yeah, but it's part of the learning process, and that's okay. It's about facing those fears, facing the resistance, and change feels scary, but ultimately it's very freeing. That's always what's the end of the road, right? The liberation that we feel when we transform. That's what we're searching for, right? To feel free being ourselves. Yeah. And when we wake up to those ways when we're not ourselves and we're like, wait, who decided this? Like the midlife thing, right? Right. So it's about this discomfort and transformation too. That means you're growing. And I did as a songwriter, right? I look back to other albums and now, I can tell I grew. I got more confident with every time, every draft, every bit of writing that I did. Same with podcasts, right? The more you do it, the more you grow, the more the discomfort subsides a bit and you start to transform. You start to be that person. Like if you say, I am a podcaster, I am a writer, I am an entrepreneur, whatever it is, I'm a voice for whatever you want to be. That means that's that growth, right? And it's uncomfortable. I had an old life coach who said that to me once, and he was telling me, just start saying I'm an author. And I was like, but I'm not. And you know what? But you are. Of course you are. You are an author. So, or whatever it is, you are X. So how can you just say it and push through that fear instead of retreating? And there's plenty of old patterns that are mixed in there too, right? So it does come with practice. And can you think of a time when you did that? I would encourage you as like a little, a little workshop, a little exercise. That's the word I'm looking for. Think of a time when you did this. You probably did it in school at some point. You've probably done it more than you think. A time when you did push past that fear and how you felt afterward. I think we have this fight or flight in us. And so we get scared and we think, back to our DNA programming, which is like, you're going to die now. The bear is going to eat you. And it's like, oh, wait, this is not the same fear. Okay. This is a different fear. I'm not going to die. And here's proof. I did X. Proof that I lived through it. I love that. When did you choose growth over comfort? And how did you live afterward? Did you feel better? Chances are you did. I know for me, one that I can think of was my second divorce. It still kind of blows my mind that I've been divorced twice. I felt like someone was going to come up along the way and like tap me on the shoulder and be like, just kidding. You got to go back. Like really, I took it hard. I didn't take it lightly, but I did get divorced a second time. I was pissed too. I was pissed. I remember going to the attorney and getting the papers and throwing them down. And she looked at me and I was like, that wasn't directed at you. I'm just pissed that I'm doing this again. I longed to have a partner that was also rooted in growth. And I just wasn't finding it. And I had to examine my own patterns. And that was very uncomfortable. Like, why did I choose this partner? And, sometimes that's really, really challenging. Always it's really, really challenging. It's about self-examination, right? Transformation requires this movement to change and some self-examination. And why did I subscribe to that in the first place? Oh, it was ingrained in me. It was told to me. It was, I was trying to make myself feel better about who I really was. Or there's a lot of different reasons that my own are buried in those little nuggets I just had. But yeah, what does stepping into your power actually look like? Does it look like, when you self-examine, does it look like sobriety? Does it look like exercise, health, more honesty, taking action in some way, taking stock of your life, taking responsibility for some different things that maybe you've blamed or used as excuses? Where are those transformation spots? And that's not to say people aren't to blame for past traumas, but at some point you got to grow up and you got to take the responsibility for your own reaction, right? We all do. And so I could sit and say, oh, well, my partner didn't grow. But that's too short-sighted. I have to say, why did I choose that partner? What was I getting out of it? How do I need to change and transform to really be the person that I want to be? Right? And I don't want to be the type of person that blames. So, and that's an interesting shift, right? You say, oh, I don't want to blame that person, but I don't even want to be the type of person that blames. I want to be the type of person that takes responsibility and looks at my own actions. So that's a transformation in itself. That's an awakening and a transformation. So where can we release those limiting beliefs, habits, and embrace a more intentional change toward where we want to be, toward the type of person that we want to be? And maybe it means having hard conversations. It means being confronting. I was going to say being confrontational, but that sounds negative. It means confronting those things that we need to confront and having harder conversations. A lot of times communicating more, being more open and accepting of ourselves, our own voice, our own truth, right? It also means trusting ourselves. And a lot of times that's a transformation in itself, waking up to the ways that we haven't trusted our own self and knowing we're capable of evolving into a full self-trust, full self-love. I talk a lot about self-trust and self-love. And the words that we say, transforming into someone who speaks truth, really supplements that self-trust all the time, every time we do it. Like me pushing to talk truthfully about my divorces, the fact that I cheated, like that lets me know, even though I'm saying things that maybe weren't great, right? It makes me know that I'm the type of person that's going to be honest and going to be truthful and going to step up and do the right thing rather than try to hide it, right? I want to transform into a person that is authentic and that is honest and that is living in alignment with the light and my truth, right? And trusting myself. And every time I'm saying that out loud, I'm hearing it, because you hear your own voice all the freaking time. So are you someone who can be trusted? There's a little micro thing in there that's constantly picking up on it. Your whole body is picking up on it. Every cell. Not to be too grandiose here, but it is a matter of health and wellness. I totally believe that. I'm a quantum, particle person. That's science. And all these particles are listening all the time and responding to us. So if you have a cognitive dissonance within yourself, that's going down to the cellular level. So how can I transform to get all that in alignment and find those little micro spaces too where I'm not saying truth? What do I need to say? What do I need to communicate, even to myself, to transform into that, right? So I have some steps for transformation here at the end. This is about truly embracing change. So how can you do this? Well, I got you some action steps. How about that? I got 7 of them, as a matter of fact. So number 1, identify your growth edge. What is that next level version of you? Can you write that down? Like, who do you really want to transform into? And maybe it's looking around at like people that you follow or people that you know that you admire. And so how can you transform those things into you, into the best level of you? Write that down. And then I challenge you to speak it out loud, even just to yourself, or maybe record it on your phone and listen back. And it doesn't have to be static. It can be an evolving list. I'd say do it on your notes app. Doesn't have to be fancy, right? But start figuring out what that next level version looks like. And I need to redo this too, because I've done it in the past and now I feel like I've gotten there in a lot of ways. And so I need to do it again. This isn't something that is a one and done. 2, take one bold action. I would challenge you to do something today that your past self would have hesitated on. Where can you find something? Or maybe you experience that little hesitation. You go, oh, hello, growth spot. How can I take a bold action? And it doesn't have to be huge. It can be saying something when you wouldn't have. That's transforming into a more honest, more real version of you, which is beautiful. I'm all for it. Number 3, daily mindset shift. When that fear creeps in, and it will, because you're human, and that's how it goes, reframe it. Reframe it as a sign that you're on the right path. I am queen of the reframe. I love a good reframe. Love it so much, right? So how can you just, fear, thank you. I am on the right path. I love when those little winks appear and I can just say, yes, I'm on the right path. Number 4, eliminate one old habit. So maybe even it's just weekly or maybe every few days, you start to let go of something that no longer aligns with your new self, that one you wrote down, right? It's really easy to see, sleeping longer isn't servicing me for having the rockin' hot bod that I want, right? Or going to bed with my makeup on, or, there's just little things that you can let go all the time, right? Or not cooking at home. It can be pretty simple things that we can start to get into these microcycles of, like I mentioned earlier, of awakening to, then transforming with and taking action on. I think that when we break those old habits, it's like those microcycles, which I love. Number 5, find an accountability partner. Transformation's easier when you have support, so I would encourage you to find someone who you can start speaking these things to and really will hold you to it, which is exciting. I love having accountability partners, or just those friends that are on the growth path too. They're the ones. So they're the ones to ask. People who are recommending, the books to you. Those are the ones. For sure. When I say the books, I mean like Mel Robbins books or, whatever. They're the ones that are like constantly interested in how they can grow. Those are the ones. Number 6, celebrate your small wins. Acknowledge your progress, no matter how small. This is a tough one for me. It's hard. I have to keep an list in my notes app. And I even forget then sometimes. I forget that that's there. And then I run across it and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to be writing down my small wins. I have a planner now, like a weekly planner, and it has that on there. So that's been really helpful. So maybe you have a planner or something like that where you can get in a habit of small wins, or maybe a Post-it note on your vanity mirror, on your bathroom mirror. What are my small wins today? Even listening to this podcast, even just doing one new habit, even writing something down or thinking through some things. Those are small wins. So celebrate those. I would encourage you to celebrate those. And number 7, I like to have an affirmation. So how about this one? I am capable of transformation and I embrace change and step into my power. I am capable of transformation. I embrace change and step into my power. I embrace change and step into my power. Oof, that's good. Say it out loud, not just in your head. There's so much power in that. Oh, yay. This feels so good. I love these. What is next? Next week, we're going to talk about my word for the year, actualization. That's been just something like I really want to enact all the things like that we talk about on this show that I can move forward with into just feeling my best and really knowing that I am living the version of me that I dream of. So actualization, fully living as your boldest, most powerful self. It is your max life after all. So please reflect, share your transformation stories. I would love to hear anything that has come up for you or any transformations that you're experiencing. Please, you can always respond to my newsletter. It's at amyedwards.com or you can email at amy@amyedwards.com or DM me at realamyedwards on Instagram. That's a very good spot to get in touch with me. So thank you so much for being here. Transformation is a journey. It's not a destination. So just keep moving forward and remember that it's cyclical and it's not so clean. It's not linear, right? I love that progress is not linear. It's like the sobriety thing. When someone has, a drink, it's like, oh, well, I lost the entire year's sobriety. No, you didn't. You had a year of sobriety, then you had a drink, and you just go like this, and then you fall off a little bit, and then you keep going up. Like you keep building on that, right? One step does not mean the whole journey is lost. It's one misstep, I suppose I should say, or one just step, right? One step in the wrong direction doesn't mean you're completely off course. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. Thank you to my friends at the Collective ATX who do my hair extensions. Just got a little move up there and it feels so good. And my affiliate links are in the show notes. So thank you to all those products that I love so much. You can find those there, and please do rate, review the show. I think that sometimes that can go by the wayside and literally takes a minute. So if you can find a minute, I would so greatly appreciate it on Apple Podcasts, or you can hit the 5 stars on Spotify. So thank you so much for being here. I love you so much, and we are maxing life. We are maxing life. Maxing, I was going to say relaxing. I don't know. Will Smith lyric or something like that. Whatever. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. Keep shining bright. Till next time.
Thank you so much for being here. Please rate, review, and follow us. And we'd love to hear your feedback. Keep shining bright.